So welcome to our coffee session today on the research infrastructure of eLTER. I would just like to provide you with some very preliminary information on the two co-hosts of that very webinar series in the session. The first one is a European project called PHENET, which is funded by Horizon Europe and is an infratech project. And it deals with phenotyping and EnviroTyping, aiming at optimizing crop performance under environmental stress, developing tools to monitor plant-environment interaction and aid agroecological transitions. So we have 4 partnering infrastructure in that very project, and we hear about the 4th of them, eLTER, today, which is on integrated European long-term ecosystem, critical zone, and socio-ecological research. We have already heard about the other infrastructures in the other webinar sessions we had so far. So this is the final conclusion of our webinar series here. A short information on the challenges addressed by PHENET. So PHENET deals with, in the bigger picture, with the big topics on climate change, the resulting biodiversity loss, the challenge of food security, reducing pesticide soil degradation. And that means that PHENET is aiming at contributing to the strategy of agroecology. More specifically, we in the project, we work towards a better understanding on the interaction of plants and the plant in complex canopies, interaction with pathogens, biotic-abiotic interactions. And we are working towards a better understanding on the variable perspective in terms of spatially and temporally variables. By doing so, we want to lead towards applications in first breeding pathways for future genotypes, and secondly, towards integrating innovative agricultural practices like intercropping, agroforestry, towards including the application of latest technologies in these practices. The second co-host we have is the International Plant Phenotyping Network, which is a network aiming at facilitating and promoting interaction between the plant phenotyping practitioners worldwide in order to integrate the regionally and globally fragmented activities, to enable exchange of knowledge, information, and expertise, to address technology development and implementation, and to advise decision makers on state-of-the-art and future opportunities and limits. Members of this network are institutions, so you can ask your institution to participate and become member of this network, and by doing so, then you will be able to benefit from all these different activities, and more information to be found on the website of the network. So what do we do today? First of all, we want to inform the community, that is you, by sharing information about phenotyping and EnviroTyping capacity available through PHENET and infrastructures. Specifically, we want to learn and discuss with Nina Hobbhahn, who will be the presenter, and Ulf Mallast, who is here as well, helping us to explore on eLTER services and the benefits. And for those of you who work directly in the PHENET project, this is your first step to think about how you think that PHENET technologies can be integrated into the eLTER service portfolio. By having said that, I would like to lead over then to Nina Hobbhahn, who works at eLTER as Communication and Liaison Officer, holding a PhD in biology. And I think, Nina, you can take the floor.
Thank you, Sven. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you have a nice cup of coffee in hand now for the following 20 minutes or so. And thanks to Sven and his colleagues in PHENET and IPPN for organizing this opportunity to explain and introduce eLTER a little bit. How does eLTER tie in with PHENET? Here is a graph that I've taken from the PHENET website, which positions eLTER with long-term observation in the sort of bottom left, but eLTER does and will do a lot of other things as well that I just wanted to point out. So eLTER is involved in remote sensing. eLTER has a number of field networks. eLTER does have a lot of instrumented field sites and is busy developing data services. So eLTER is quite broadly positioned to contribute to projects like PHENET and others. And this also makes eLTER a really good host for services and a sort of provisioner of sustainable use of services and technologies that are being developed in projects. What is eLTER actually, and what does it aim to do? eLTER is an emerging RI. It's on the S3 roadmap, and we're aiming to achieve S3 ERIC status in 2026. eLTER is tackling the compounded impacts of climate change, biodiversity loss, soil degradation, pollution, and unsustainable resource use on European ecosystems. And importantly, eLTER also includes a strong socio-ecological component to better understand the complex interactions between people and nature, and to gather the empirical evidence needed to identify and mitigate human impacts on ecosystems. How does eLTER do this? The concept, structure, and strategic vision of eLTER is based on its unique Wales concept, the whole systems approach to in situ research on life-supporting systems. At the bottom of this slide, I've provided a link to a presentation, a video on eLTER's YouTube channel, where this concept is explained in more detail if you are interested. In short, eLTER will enable research in, and very importantly, across the 5 spheres outlined in this graph here on the left, and across a network of several hundred highly instrumented long-term observation and monitoring sites and platforms, and then provide a range of services that I'll explain more in the following slides. Next slide, please. To give you an idea of the geographic scale of eLTER, here's a map of all long-term observation sites registered in eLTER's DAMES database. There's a link at the bottom of this page that shows you the DAMES database if you want to go exploring. And you can see here that the sites span from northernmost Norway to southernmost Israel, and from Portugal to eastern Romania, and therefore cover all habitats in Europe. The gray dots that you can see here are sites and platforms that are operated by national long-term observation and monitoring networks. Green on the left are the sites that will participate in eLTER and operate based on eLTER standards, which I'll also outline in a moment. On the right-hand side, you can see the platforms that will be participating in eLTER. All of them are listed in DAMES. And here I just want to distinguish and explain a little bit what we mean when we say sites and platforms. Sites are long-term observation sites focusing on ecosystems functioning. So these are observation and monitoring sites, though some experimentation is possible. And these also include over 30 agricultural sites. Our platforms are essentially spatially explicit living laboratories for the transdisciplinary long-term socio-ecological research. And so what does that actually look like? What does a site is easy to imagine. What does a platform look like? The next slide shows an example of a platform here in Israel, where several sites are embedded in a landscape. And so the combination of the sites and the surrounding landscape then together form this platform. So the research scope here extends more to the landscape level and the regional scope. Habitat focuses on the dominating habitat types. And what happens here is a co-production of science with society, which includes the local population, land users, and other actor groups. And so what can emerge from eLTER sites is cross-sector stakeholder collaboration, and that can result in knowledge that for decision-making and research on just transitions and regional resilience. Moving on in the next slide, from eLTER's distributed physical network of sites and platforms that you can see here on the right. eLTER is also busy developing and will offer quite a broad portfolio of services that are organized in 7 thematic service areas. And despite the fact that the eLTER is still under development, we are already developing numerous services, and several are already as initial versions. And so before I go further into a couple of these initial services, I just wanted to walk you through the graph, because what it shows are the sites and platforms on the right-hand side. They provide lots of long-term data and observations, but also access for researchers. So if you're interested in site access from virtual to physical, do reach out to us. On the other side, on the left, are the central services that the eLTER will provide through the head office, which takes care of coordination, support activities, communication, and other things. And the emerging topic centers that will host one or several services from the thematic service areas listed below. And data and services then come together in eLTER's service portal, which we will launch very soon. And this will be a one-stop shop for service users that are interested in data, analysis and modeling tool, data products, knowledge products, etc. So all the great things that are going to come out of eLTER will come through its service portal. And at the very end of this webinar, I'll encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter, which will also make sure that you're always informed about the new services and things that we're busy developing and launching. And several of these initial services and versions are already available now. The full versions and also just a broader array of services will become available once the eLTER ERIC is implemented in 2026. In the next slide, I'm just going to give you an overview of our of the service portfolio that we're busy developing. There's no need to read all of this. It's really just to give you a rough impression of what is actually contained. For example, in the topic management, data center, and integration. And something that I would like to mention here is that this is not our final service portfolio. And once we've developed all these services, we're done. eLTER is very open to continuously expanding its service portfolio and to co-develop services with other organizations or projects such as PHENET. So if during this presentation or after you think that there's something that we should co-develop, by all means do reach out. We are interested in exactly that sort of collaboration. So here in the slide, you can see the topic, the thematic service centers, data set management and integration, optimized design and RI interoperability, and technical innovation and development. The next slide, please, service topic centers include various services in the area of analysis and modeling and synthesis towards actionable knowledge. And then in the last two topic centers include central analyses and measurement. And of course, the head office with quite a broad range of services. And you can see that a lot of these are core services that need to be functional now, and they're either fully developed or already available in an initial version. I'm going to give you 3 examples now of the services that we have already developed. The first one is our site registration and cataloging tool, DAMES. Again, here you can see the link at the bottom, and this enables the registration and publication of information on long-term observation facilities, including the exact locations, deployed sensors, related network and infrastructure affiliations, etc. The database issues a unique, persistent, and resolvable identifier for each of these documented entities, so it's very, very clearly documented and findable. It manages observation facilities in relation to the eLTER, and it has a very neat discovery interface to search and select observation facilities of interest for edit or export of information. So I invite you all to go for a walk in DAMES, have a look at the sites that you're working in or would like to work in. And if you find something really amazing, a site that you really want to access, eLTER actually has a site access program, so do reach out if you're interested in that. Another service that we have set up is our training program and the associated website that serves to build competence both of eLTER's developing user base and its staff. On our website, you can see quite a broad range of topics on which we've pulled together training materials ranging from info sheets to videos. And the idea is here to integrate and cover as many stakeholders as possible. We also have an early career and friends group in eLTER, to attract new scientists and technical personnel in the early career stages. We continuously offer trainings for different user groups, which are then published here on this website. And our trainings cover the whole range from hands-on on-site trainings to online courses. The third example here is our site legacy data mobilization, which is in an initial status of development, where a lot of the long-term observation sites literally have decades of legacy data that are not currently mobilized. And this is something that eLTER really promotes and encourages. Part of this service is that we provide an interface, the eLTER marketplace, where researchers can request data from long-term observation sites. And our site and platform coordinators who have this data can then respond and mobilize this legacy data and provide it. eLTER also mobilizes data through specific data calls to make sure that more and more of this legacy data actually becomes findable online and is openly accessible. And we communicate this through our social media, amongst others. There's also a sign-up option on the eLTER marketplace. If you're interested in data calls, then this is something that you might be interested in. Now I'm moving on to an entirely different component. Well, it's not entirely different, it's vital, but it comes from a different angle of the eLTER-RI and its implementation of the whole systems approach. And these are the eLTER standard observations. This is also something that might be of interest to the users, to people from the PHENET projects. Where does this idea come from with the standard observations? Well, we need a comprehensive set of biotic and abiotic indicators to identify drivers of environmental changes within the context of ecosystem structures and processes. And the ecosystem should be covered at the process level by describing energy, water, and matter budgets, and following eLTER's whole system approach, also describe critical socio-ecological drivers. The guiding principles in the selection of eLTER standard observations were that each standard observation variable has high sensitivity to system changes, that it supports site comparisons and clustering, that it is of critical relevance for modeling, and that it is simple and parsimonious with regard to the whole set of as standard observations. And so based on a lengthy co-design and co-development process, eLTER is about to publish its set of 65 standard observations from the 5 spheres that you can see here on the left. And I'm going to just show you what we mean with these standard observations. These will also become available in more detail within the next few weeks when we launch a standard observation website. We have standard observations from the geosphere, biosphere, sociosphere. I'm going to pick out some that I think might be of particular interest for the PHENET project. So there's a number of soil parameters, inventories, chemical and physical properties, water chemistry, infiltration, etc. In the biosphere, vegetation composition, eDNA, for example. In the sociosphere, things like livestock governance, land cover and land use, ecosystem services, and things like that. In the hydrosphere, of course, everything that is related to groundwater, running water, soil water parameters, snow, and things like that. And then in the atmosphere, we have a wide range of variables ranging from meteorological data, soil heat flux, above ground biomass, below ground biomass, vegetation leader, and things like that. And so the idea behind these standard observations is that these will be implemented at varying levels at eLTER sites. So to become an eLTER site, you need to implement a certain set of standard observations at a certain level, and which means that going forward, as eLTER moves on from legacy data to standard observation, it creates a huge data set of standardized observations across all habitats in Europe and across the entire length and width of Europe. And now I'm going to come back to PHENET's activities and the question how its developing services could be integrated into the RIs that the project has set out to serve. I hope that the past slides have given you a better insight into what eLTER does and will do as a functional RI. From our perspective, there are several areas where PHENET services and products could dock into eLTER's developing services. For example, in selected services or additional services, or future standard observations. And eLTER really takes a very, very collaborative and integrative approach to development. So we're very open to be approached about co-design, co-development, and integration of PHENET's products. We take a very long-term perspective on eLTER's operation and continuous expansion of services. And so something that eLTER can really offer is a sustainable home for services and products beyond the runtime of individual products. And with this very short gallop through several aspects of eLTER, I invite you to get in touch with us and explore what eLTER does. You can see here the links to our website. It would be great if you sign up to our newsletter and stay on top of all our new developments. Also on social media, you can email me or our office with questions, and then we invite you to also explore our DAMES database. You can ask us for data on our eLTER marketplace. And of course, you're all invited to come to our eLTER Science Conference. And I'm going to end with a very quick advertising spot here for our eLTER Science Conference next year in June. It'll be in Tampere in Finland. So the days will be wonderfully long and light. Come join us. It's going to be a really interesting, comprehensive event, and the abstract call and registration are now open. So yeah, come join us. And with that, can we go back one slide? I'll end here. And thank you for your attention.